Good morning. Good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? JTW here, back after a long sabbatical there for the Independence Day holiday. I hope everybody had a safe and happy 4th of July. Just getting some stuff set up, finished setting up on my end here. All right, that looks good over there. All right. Let's get over to our ES chart. Let's get our indicators back on. Okay, so hope everybody, like I said, had an excellent 4th of July holiday. Hope you enjoyed the long weekend. I took Friday off in addition to uh, Saturday, Sunday, and obviously markets closed on Thursday, which disrupted our live stream schedule, but no big deal. We're right back into the swing of things here this week, Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you haven't already marked your calendars in advance for these streams, go ahead and do that now. Also, if you're on the Xtrades YouTube side of the house, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. We are eventually going to limit chat on the YouTube streams to subscribers only. That cost you anything to subscribe, right? So go ahead and get that out of the way. That way your ability to interact and enjoy these streams isn't disrupted in any way whatsoever. So what's up, All or Nothing? What's up, Strife? Good to see you both hanging out. And here, going to take a look at ES here real quick, and then we'll dig into the trade plans that we did last Tuesday, since this is the first time first opportunity, I should say, we have to really go back and review those since we put those together last Tuesday pre-market. And we'll spend the majority of our time working on some new trade plans this morning. So be ready with those ticker requests. I know my homie Chris was telling me yesterday in the chat that he has one in particular that he's excited about sharing with me. So Chris, get on the live stream. Tell me what you want to take a look at. Hideout, we could certainly take a look at ARM for sure. All right. So let's just take a look at things, kind of looking at the market, what it's doing, where we're at through the lens of ES, as we like to do during these streams. I mean, probably not reporting any new information to anybody. Market just kind of continues to melt up. It's been kind of an interesting pattern of quick moves and then consolidation, quick move, consolidation, quick move, consolidation. So look for these consolidation periods and when they might start to be getting to a point where things have rebalanced enough that it can make another leg higher. Me personally, obviously I'm using Neptune. So anytime we get these dips down into this key buying pressure on the trend, as long as my flag remains bullish and I'm still under this long signal, SMAs are all bullish. I mean, there's really no reason whatsoever other than being maybe slightly or starting to get slightly overextended from these moving averages. But really, I mean, no reason whatsoever, especially if you've got a confluence with a level there, to just be taking those entries and just playing the levels as these trades set themselves up. Here you see another one, here you see another one. So anyway, it's been interesting to watch this. We do look like we're in another little period of consolidation. However, does also look like we could be setting up to break out higher. Don't forget, we do have several Fed speakers today, I believe, starting with Barr and then J Powell. Yeah, Barr at 9:15. So shortly before market open, right around when we'll be wrapping up the live stream here, and then Powell is, I guess, testifying at 10 o'clock, and then he has a speech tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and then we have inflation on Thursday. So starting at 10 a.m. this morning, things could get very interesting. Be very careful getting too heavy into any positions before 10 o'clock this morning that you are currently in. So with that being said, let's go and circle back to those live stream plans that we did last Tuesday, and then we'll get to doing some new trade plans for you guys here this morning. So let me get back over to the live stream. We've got ARM on deck so far for Hideout. Certainly we'll take a look at that. So live stream plans from last last week. We'll start with Marathon here. Marathon, we put this plan together Tuesday pre-market. We were looking for a break above 22.77. to potentially take calls. That level never broke. It's a little tricky if you're watching the 5 minute only, and this is actually a good point that as I was reviewing things and getting ready for the live stream this morning, I wanted to make sure I make a point to say, if you ever aren't totally sure if a confirmed break has happened, and this is definitely kind of a very tricky one, looks like a little bit more of a liquidity sweep than an actual break to me, with this wick kind of hanging out up here higher, and then we close this candle right here and then immediately dump back below that call entry level if you're looking at the 5 minutes. So you barely get a candle close above and then immediately pushes right back below. What's up, Chris? We were waiting for you, buddy. I know you've got some hot ticker that you want me to take a look at this morning, so I can't wait to find out what that is. But we were talking about, again, when you're kind of not sure if something's broken, and I'm gonna actually turn off my indicators here so we can just look at candles only here for just a second. So again, I've got my video out there about, how to use the 5 minute chart. Again, this is, we're barely closing above right there. Here's kind of our first good close above, but again, that close is kind of already in the process of selling back below, and then this candle opens and pushes right back underneath that call entry, that potential resistance, and then we see a rejection that ultimately does send things lower there. Ultimately, to get to my point about if you ever get kind of confused about, okay, is this really a good confirmed break yet or not, take a look at the 15-minute chart as well, just kind of as a second perspective on things. I talk about using multiple time frames to kind of gain different perspectives on your charts and what trading decisions you might be thinking of making. I talk about this all the time. It's no different when we're looking for confirmations of a potential break of a level, whether that be to get in a trade or stop out of a trade. It doesn't really matter, right? Level breaks are level breaks, however you need to use them in the particular moment. But here, if we look at this 15-minute chart, again, no candles closing above. In fact, if anything, it looks like really a couple of clean rejections right there with that little liquidity sweep right there. Also, we were kind of eyeballing a potential trend here for something. I'm not really sure why we were already keyed into that. But anyway, we saw that continue to hold and does continue to push things down, and really haven't seen anything convincingly closing above that since. So how did this finish playing out? Well, we ultimately did reject. We broke down. We got a little test of support there pre-market, and then we see a flip of support to resistance here with our put entry level. That looks like a good confirmed break to me versus what we talked about there earlier. Also, still looking at the 15-minute chart, we're seeing closes below, back tests of that as resistance. So great back test entry opportunities. Ultimately, gaps down below PT1, was still below PT1 at open, so you had chances to close the trade for profit there. And then if you missed this entry here, you could have gotten it yesterday morning again with that key rejection right there off that resistance at 2108, sent us down below PT1 and seems to be finding resistance now at PT1. So this one could continue down to PT2. So keep your eye on it. But ultimately, this trade plan has played out very well and also gave us a nice little opportunity to talk about some different ways of looking at confirming whether or not a level is broken. Constellation Brands, I know this one was from Unknown Reviews, who loves to get those ER lead up type trades in there whenever possible. So this was a interesting one. We closed the day just above our call entry level here on the 15-minute, and then pretty much gap up, hit PT3 for calls, and sold off super hard, super fast, all in the first 15 minutes of the following day. So very kind of tricky trade there unless you just caught that right there. But me personally, looking at those SMAs right there overhead and that kind of rejecting going into the close, I personally wouldn't have taken it and didn't take it. But ultimately did gap up to PT3 for calls, and from there rejected all the way down. And we did see a break below, kind of not a clean back test, but rejection of the area of resistance as we headed into that earnings report. And then post earnings report, things kind of pushed back to the upside here. Seems to be consolidating a little bit, but breaking back down below as of yesterday and rejecting that put entry. So we could see downside on this one play out again. Neptune has remained bearish, and in fact caught that key resistance right there with the key selling pressure and 333 SMA stacked up right there together. Nice confluence of resistance there, pushing things lower. Tried to hold that put entry as support, ultimately didn't, and then consolidated below and seems to be pushing down lower here as of close yesterday. Pre-market we're at 254.50, so looks like we're kind of, if we throw extended trading hours on, but this is not one that really trades any real price action during extended trading hours. Looks like we could be seeing a little bit of a back test there at 254.47, but again, this one's kind of a one that I would only use the regular trading hours chart for personally. And then last but not least, we had Target. I think this was for Chris. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. Forgot the ticker request. Come on, man. All right, take a minute, gather yourself. Let me know what this you were super excited about it yesterday. I was excited to hear what it was, so don't let me down, bro. All right, so Chris, we talked about this one Tuesday pre-market. I think this was for Chris or somebody asking about Target, but pretty sure it was Chris. So looking at Target, let's get over here to the 15-minute as well. I forget exactly what we said on this one, but I'm pretty sure, just looking at this chart, we said as long as 144.64 is holding by the dip, right? It seems to be holding, and again, maybe my level's slightly off. It could be a little bit more like 144.51, but I'd say it's still within a reasonable margin of error. Again, maybe I need to make a small adjustment to this weekly support resistance level, but ultimately, looks like it held. We weren't seeing anything like a real convincing breakdown, and then from there, ultimately ramped up, and then yesterday, even though we did see this really big push pre-market, a lot of things, or right after the open, a lot of tickers saw this kind of really interesting spike that kind of just ignored all support and resistance, and then things sort of went back into business as usual mode. We did see it ramp back up, tap PT1 for calls there, so we did get the move from 144.64 up to 150.52. Okay, you were out last week. Somebody asked for Target, and all that I had was time to do an upside plan, and I think, if I remember correctly, this is one that we said, as long as that's holding by the dip and look for that 150.52 price target, looks like we pretty much nailed it. Could have gotten even a little bit more out of it if you closed right at the open there yesterday, but if you missed that opportunity, got that test of PT1 there, and seems to have rejected so far, but still looking, I'd say, fairly bullish here for Target. All right, so let's get to some of these trade plan requests that we've got on deck for this morning. ARM, and I think I saw, okay, NVIDIA and Walmart from Terminator, just checking in on the Discord real quick. Again, for those watching via Discord, make sure that you are coming over and joining the YouTube streams. I don't always reliably pay attention to the chat in the Discord. We really are trying to boost the YouTube presence for Xtrades, so please come join the YouTube streams. I will definitely not miss anything you're saying if you're over there. All right, so let's get started on ARM for Hideout here bright and early with that ticker request. I say this is one I'm kind of roughly familiar with. I know it's a semiconductor stock. Just kind of getting a quick bearings real quick. So I have not ever traded or charted this, so I'm not super familiar with it, but that's good. I like to expand my horizons. Yeah, it's looked really strong here off this 4-hour chart. Let me check one thing real quick. Yeah, trade's decent pre-market or extended hours, so take a look at the 24-hour here. It does have earnings coming up in a few weeks, so there's time. End of the month, July 31st. All right, I think we're good to go. Gonna, for now, hide the indicators. Just want to focus on price action. You guys and gals who have joined these live streams before, exactly how I like to proceed with these. My TA process. Got something pretty decent there that's going to be worth watching on the weekly here. It's another interesting level there. This would be an interesting one to keep on watch, but oops, not really seeing the full support and resistance picture on that one. So, and I'm probably also now at this point going way lower than we're going to need to worry about for any kind of a downside plan. So I'll rein it in. Let's see. It's very kind of choppy PA down in this range. Again, I don't think we're not going to need 128.29. I'm getting too far in the weeds there. Sorry about that. All right. So, oops. Wow. I just realized I was on the 24-hour chart. So, let's just start this over because I was marking these off as weekly levels. And that's not what they are. Apologies for that. I didn't realize I forgot to change my time frame there. I think this is one of our daily levels, but we'll confirm that. It's another interesting one, but seeing the full support and resistance scenario there. All right, yep, we're good. So let's go back to our 24-hour chart. So this remains, interestingly enough, just on watch. Yeah, that looks like a pretty decent daily level. Again, I kind of got into the weeds down here with some of these levels, but I'll go ahead and put that one there. That's probably the lowest we'll ever need in the near future. Another interesting level there. All right. Keep this one on watch. All right. Yeah, this looks like a pretty good 4-hour level to me. Let's check this guy out. It's probably just a touch lower. Right there. That looks good. Also, essentially all-time high, right? Price discovery, so gonna have to use sort of minimal price action to nail down some of these levels, but that's not the end of the world. We've worked with less. And then we'll also have to, what's up, Fred? Good morning. Good to see you. All right. Here. Okay, I think we're gonna need to, yeah, get down to smaller time frames here to really try to figure this out. Man, this price action is pretty, I guess the right word would be aggressive. It's just all over the place with some of these liquidity sweeps and spikes and then quick consolidations, and it's an interesting one. ARM. Again, not one I've personally traded all that much and clearly have never even really taken the time to work up levels on it until just now. It's really kind of iffy level there. But again, minimal price action, price history. That's all we have to work with. So And I'm not even really seeing a true top or rejection. Um, this is an interesting flip right up here, though. Pretty recent, minimal price action, though. All right, so let's also check our trend-based fib extensions because we're going to need those. Interesting rejection here pre-market. So the other thing, and I was mentioning this to somebody yesterday, or at least me personally, so this is kind of full disclosure, or at least how I like to kind of look at these things. Until we've seen kind of a real clear top and pullback, trend-based fib extensions I think start to become a little unreliable. Could, however, run one off of this. Actually, that would probably be the smarter approach. So anyway, what I was getting ready to say, we're looking at something like this, right, where we really haven't seen that pullback. We're still kind of in a pretty strong uptrend, and let's just kind of take a look at it from another lens. Very strong uptrend there. Here we finally see something that's a pretty clear rejection. So we could use this and use it a little bit more reliably. Let's see how that then stacks up. I'll be interested to see if we wind up getting an extension or some confluence up here with where we're rejecting here pre-market. Although this looks like the more potentially and actually starting to be established level. So we'll check both these spots actually. All right, so that trend, this push to the upside, now we're trying to find our base, right? Makes a lot of bases, but if we're looking for a trend here, looks to me like we really do kind of kick it off this really nice, also from a just pure indicator standpoint, confluence there. Key buying zone on NTS, 200 SMA there on the hourly, down there at 116.13, took it all the way up to 180 and some change. But I think that's really where we're starting from. Let's get those levels on watch here. All right. Yeah, I think we've got something that looks pretty good right there, actually. Still want to see that little bit more of this pre-market resistance out of the way before we start shooting for some of these targets, but that is an interesting set of fib extensions for sure. And then this is the other set, which I would say I'm a little bit more trepidatious about. Probably the right word. That's going to look something like this. Move that barely too much. Right about there. No, actually, I could see that being a touch lower. Yeah, right there. All right, so let's take a look at how these two stack up. Here's an interesting confluence with both right there, so that'll definitely be a good PT2. PT3, I say we shoot for this because we don't really have another confluence up here. And in price discovery, you just never really know when sellers are going to step in or buyers are going to start taking profit. So I think reasonable to just go a little bit more aggressive. But I would say hold out for that, or scale out small at PT1, and then scale out a little heavier at PT2 because I think we've got a good shot at getting to PT2 for sure. Stop loss average down for this. I'd put it right here. And our entry up here at 187.42. And I'll map that as a fib extension at this point. All right, that looks like a pretty good upside plan to the downside. I think things definitely get interesting below 180.02. That could make for some pretty significant moves. I mean, I'd really be looking at 170.94. I'd be looking for a pretty decent pullback below that 180.02 level. Below that, we may need to fill in some blanks here. This is an interesting level. Also has the 200 SMA near it on the hourly chart here. So that is also could see the 333 catching up to that, just depending on how rapidly this price action plays out. Those would be my PTs 2 and 3 for the downside here on ARM. Stop loss average down. Kind of eyeballing this 185.29. I think this one, if you're going to go for the downside, you're going to have to probably give it some room. This is going to be a kind of a weird looking trade plan setup, but I'd be using this 187.42. So I mean, that's giving it a lot of room. Make sure, if you're giving it that much room, make sure you give these contracts plenty of time, because if you do hit that level, you're almost certainly going to need to average down to salvage the trade. I mean, you know, in the scenario that we get a breakdown and it doesn't continue down, right? But always have to have that contingency plan in place. But I think it makes sense to give that downside plan that kind of room before you realize the loss, and certainly could see a double top here at in this all-time high area before we do see a real rejection on this. So, you know, keep in mind that this one's overall setting up bullish. I like the upside plan a little bit better than the downside plan personally, but be ready to go with whatever the chart's telling you to do. Long story short. All right, so like I said, this is going to look a little wonky, but we'll talk through it real quick. All right. So here are the ARM live stream plans. In the YouTube chat, also going to post them in the options watch list real quick. All right, so let's get back to it. So what are we looking for here on ARM? We're looking for a break over 187.42 to play continuation to the upside. From there, we're looking at targets at 192.64, 196.45. Remember, 196.45 I think is really kind of the more key level there. So pay attention to that. And then over 196.45, we're looking for 240 with a stop loss average down here at 182.70. To the downside, again, we've got a bigger move potential, but we're also giving it more room to let the trade plan work out. So make sure that you're also giving your contracts plenty of time. But we're looking for a break below 180.02 to play for downside. That should give us targets at 170.94, 164.88, and 158.68 with a stop loss average down at 187.42, which is your call plan entry level, that key resistance there. Okay, so that is ARM. Let's see, what was our next one? Walmart, was that next from over in the Discord? Let's take a look at Walmart. Walmart, I should already have some decent levels on. What? Oh, I did not realize Walmart did a stock split. I was like, wow, how is it down here at the 70 level? Um, okay, well, because of that, I'm going to just hide all this stuff for now. I'll clean that up later. Let's start from scratch without deleting anything that might be useful from our historical levels here on Walmart. All right. Yeah, big moves on Walmart, especially after that split. Looks like it's been on a nice run. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these levels here post split. Yeah, I don't even remember hearing or seeing anybody even mention the Walmart stock split. I had no idea. I probably would have considered buying that, even though I don't. Walmart's not typically one that I trade. I like a good stock split entry on the right ticker, and Walmart's a name that's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. Not gonna send your portfolio to the moon, but not gonna wreck it. Probably just a steady gainer, I would bet. Slow and steady wins the race. All right. So hide those real quick just so I can focus on price action only. Is that there? Yeah, earnings report. Decent. Next one's not till August 15th, so more than a month out. This is just pure pump mode here. So this is an interesting level, but to be determined what kind of level it is. That does look like a pretty good daily level. I think this weekly level, I've probably got it just a touch high, like that. Test there, okay. Also seeing a little bit of a double top, so that's interesting. All right, let's get over to the 4-hour chart here. Let's start chopping this up. I think there is something there. This is an interesting flattening out right there, but not much else happening noteworthy. Okay, I think we're good for levels we're going to need anytime in the near future, and just so I don't lose my place, because I think I am going to want to circle back to this, just so I know I haven't fully charted any of that down there. All right, so let's take this to the hourly. Let's check out sorry, I need to hide these again. So I think we've got set of fib extensions that are going to set up, yeah, right about here. All right. So let's mark these off real quick, although I think there's a real Actually, established level just slightly lower there. And these fib extensions could be just a hair off because, again, we don't really have that confirmed rejection. We do have this double top up here, though, which is interesting. So I might make some slight adjustments to this as we go through it. May not draw these kind of dead on. Yeah, it's an interesting little area in here, but nothing really confirmed. All right, so I think, yeah, fib levels. I don't want slightly, okay. Well, again, these are approximate targets, so give yourself a little bit more wiggle room on the reasonable range. I'm also setting these slightly below just to make sure that we are taking profit early. Not get too greedy with these projected levels. All right, so where does that leave us? Again, I'm really intrigued by this little, there's something right in between this bounce and rejection. It's not precise, but there's something down there at 68.65 that might be of interest. All right, let's flip our indicators on. Does that show us anything new? Change my mind about anything, which is, I think, what we're looking for to play upside is for this double top to give way. Really, we don't have anything else to shoot for but our fib extensions because we are at all-time highs. I also say that that's a reasonable amount of room to give the trade. I think we are sitting right on a 1-to-1 risk reward setup on this one as far as PT1 goes. Yeah. Well, actually, maybe slightly better, but not by much. Well, this is also a little high. Yeah, I mean, right, pretty much right at a 1-to-1 risk reward on the upside, getting to PT1. So just keep that in mind. Generally speaking, right, we want that to be a little bit more favorable. Downside, I could certainly see that getting interesting if we're gonna use this kind of potential. Pretty sure there's something there. I'm gonna aim a little bit lower if it's going to be a downside target, just to make sure that we are letting this thing confirm. So I think 68.59. I think we share a stop loss with that upside trade plan. PT1. Yeah, I think takes us down to the 67.89 also from our fib extensions. This is going to be a fill in the blank level, I think, right here. Yeah, there's a pretty decent level right about here. 67.25. Then below that, 66.64, I'd say. So this is the downside plan. Let's check this. Yeah, kind of tight risk reward on upside and downside. I guess that's not all that surprising. Walmart's not super volatile. I guess that shouldn't be all that shocking. But anyway, here are the Walmart trade plans. Also posted over in the options watch list for Discord. So, what are we looking for here on Walmart? We're looking for a break over 70.13 with targets at 70.90, 71.60, and 72.59 with the stop loss average down at 69.34. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 68.59 with targets at 67.89, 67.25, and 66.64, sharing the stop loss average down with the upside trade plan there at 69.34. Those are your Walmart trade plans, upside, downside. Go make some money. Doesn't matter which direction it goes. You're ready. All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we had two people ask for Walmart. Perfect. Or maybe that's the same person from both chats. Either way, happy to look at it. Glad we got it. All or Nothing wanted to take a quick look at NVIDIA. Cruising, we had NVIDIA calls. I alerted yesterday after we saw this really nice test of the 333 SMA here on the 5-minute in the buying pressure. We were also over the call entry from our previous trade plan on NVIDIA here at 126.51, so that was looking solid for me as well. And I knew we had a good confluence down here at 126.51 with a stop loss average down with that 200 SMA hanging out just below. So, a break back below 126.51 would have essentially put us back below both SMAs. Flipped all my indicators bearish, at least on the 5-minute. So that's why we took those Walmart calls, and this has continued to play out to the upside. First target was 129.77. We have hit that here pre-market, tested it briefly as resistance. Now we're coming back over, testing as support. I also might have this level just slightly low. So I've kind of got it marked in this yellowish, greenish yellow color. These are kind of, I think there's something there, but I'm not quite totally sure or exact on it yet. So anyway, we're at PT1 plus, heading for PT2 here at 131.06. And then from there, we're looking for 132.08. That is our third price target for the existing NVIDIA calls that we are in, which is 130 calls for a couple weeks out. So those look like they're going to open in the money for us. We will definitely be locking profits at open and just holding a couple of runners. That one was alerted yesterday morning-ish. And it is just, it did chop a little bit more. That's why I made sure I was kind of just hoping for a day trade. But that's why I bought plenty of time on it, because NVIDIA's been doing this, a lot of consolidating lately. So did consolidate, but here we see the next leg up taking place, and we will definitely be booking most of our contracts at open for profit on this NVIDIA trade. That again looks like it is going to open in the money unless it dips pretty hard here in the next 15 minutes. We do have Barr getting ready to speak here in 3 minutes, so who knows. But I have a feeling market's probably going to wait for J Powell at 10 o'clock, so that should give us a chance to go ahead and book these gains at open. All right, with that, we're getting pretty close to 15 minutes from market open. I'm going to go get to work on the daily SPY plan so I can get that posted in the Xtrades Discord. I want to thank everybody for joining me this morning. As a reminder, we will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, I wish you all the best. For those in the Xtrades Discord community, I will see you guys in the chat. Hope you all have a fantastic day, and be back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. bright and early. Until then, as we always say, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green. Have a fantastic day. Talk to you all soon.